This is going to be a very exciting journey through all of the things that are going on now in the sherry appellation. Kirk and Rod and I had an opportunity to see the wonderful presentation that Mario and Yvette and Lucas and Nina had put together. The next hour journey through the sherry region will provide us with some new insights and some very exciting things that are going on. So I ask you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. And hopefully the next time we'll be doing it in one of the Almanzanistas. So please, Lucas, take us into the journey. Thank you. I mean, Mario, my bad.
Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. Yvette and me are the Lustau portfolio managers. For those who don't know who we are, and well, we brought today a presentation focused on our vineyards and a few more exclusive wine ranges we have in our collection. So, as I said, we're gonna start with a little introduction about Lustau. We were founded. Lustau is a sherry wine company, obviously, that was founded in 1896 by Mr. José Ruiz Verdejo. Verdejo was a court clerk from the area. He was a wealthy man. He was earning a lot of money, and he considered himself as a sherry lover. So during his spare time, he just went to his vineyard named La Esperanza, and he basically grew a small amount of grapes, and then he made a small amount of wine. This wine was mostly consuming for private consume, family, friends, and work colleagues. And little by little, he started to sell tiny amounts of wine to bigger sherry companies or just in the local area in a bulk way. And that's what we know as an almacenista business. We actually were founded as an almacenista business, small production, locally, crafted. Everything was crafted and sold in bulk. No brand, no bottle, and no specific ranges under a collection. So after a couple of years, his daughter, Maria Ruiz Verdejo, took over the business, and then she started to transform this humble, primitive almacenista business into an exporter, or exporting a sherry wine business. After that, Maria Ruiz Verdejo met Emilio Lustau, and then they got married, and then Lustau decided to take over the company, the wine company, and create the current ranges and the current wines, the legendary wines. We fortunately we are happy to share with the rest of the world. Lustau actually nowadays is known as a benchmark of quality and variety, because Lustau probably is the sherry wine company with the widest, deepest, biggest wine range. We produce and age 45 different sherry wines, but we also have in our collection brandy, vermouth, and also sherry vinegar. And I also wanted to stop here because the human factor in the sherry wine industry is so important, and we are happy to have two of the greatest experts in sherry wine and brandy in the area. One of these characters is Sergio Martinez, our cellar master. He was learning from Manuel Lozano, our former winemaker. Unfortunately, Manuel Lozano passed away in 2016. Sergio took over his role, and very soon he started to follow the Manolo's legacy. He actually It has been awarded with the Best Fortified Winemaker Award by International Wine Challenge 3 different times in a row. The last one was in 2019. Manolo, for you to know, was awarded with the same award 7 different times in a row. So we are happy to keep our former winemakers, not only Manolo, the other one, the former ones, legacy, and we are still focused on improving the quality and improving our wine personalities. And on the other hand, we also have Fernando. Fernando is our master blender. He's a veteran actually in the industry, in the whole CRDO. He joined Caballero, Lustau in 1990s as the master blender, our brandy master blender, and the quality director, quality control, sorry, the director. Fernando, he's so experienced. He has been working for the industry since he was a young man, and thanks to his expertise and thanks to his experience, he also belongs to the Sherry Regulatory, our Consejo Regulador board testing panel. So Lustau is what it is, thanks to our legacy, our values, and of course, thanks to the human factor we have there, working every day with such passion these two guys have for sherry wines and brandy. You also have to know that Fernando is also the creator of the vermouth recipes. He is in charge of selecting the wines that Sergio takes care of and blending all of them together with the botanicals. And as I said, Lustau has a very, very versatile, varied, deep, open, enormous, huge collection of products. Most of this collection is sherry wine. As you can see, one of our most important or famous range, the Solera Familiar, which is the original wine range of Lustau, founded or established in the 1940s, 1930s. And then we also wanted to highlight the Almacenista range, which is, in my opinion, the most or the range that identifies Lustau among other sherry wine companies. Of course, we also have more exclusive, rare wine ranges like the Enramat range. Yvette is going to talk about the Enramat range, and of course, we also have the vermouths. Lustau were the first company who brought back to the area the vermouth tradition, and we also are known or renowned for having a pretty interesting brandy range. Pretty small. We only have 3 SKUs or 3 different products: the Brandy Solera Reserva, Gran Reserva, and Gran Reserva Fine Selection, and just a tiny amount, tiny portion of vinegar. Actually, less than 20 casks of sherry wine vinegar, made of sherry wine. Actually. Okay, so after this brief introduction, after this brief background about Lustau, we're gonna get into the tech details. I'm on the lights. Okay, so Lustau owns two different vineyards, and each of these vineyards are quite unique because they are located in totally opposite locations. We're gonna start with the Tejilillo vineyard, which is the inland vineyard we have at Lustau, or we own, and it used to be the original vineyard that Lustau owned in the past. I didn't tell you that, but Lustau was purchased in the 1990s by a different sherry wine company, a bigger sherry wine company called Caballero. So thanks to Caballero, Lustau improved their, our logistics, fiscal, financial structure. So, but they wanted to keep this vineyard as the flagship vineyard of the winery. Important to know, I'm living here. A few interesting facts about the vineyard. This vineyard is located in Jerez de la Frontera. Don't worry, we're gonna now go to Google Earth. I'm gonna show you a real, accurate image of this vineyard. But before that, I wanted to talk about the different facts that make this vineyard unique and different. It is located in Jerez de la Frontera municipality, northeast. It's a little bit in the northeast area of the region, and it's located in the Pago Montejil. This vineyard is about 33 kilometers to the sea, so we can consider it as an inland vineyard. Okay, it is pretty high actually. The vineyards are between 65-87 meters above the sea, and we also have an average inclination of 7.85 degrees. How we can translate these technical information? So the vineyard is mostly influenced by the Levante wind. Actually, we are in the inland area. Let me jump now into this. Can you see my screen? What are you seeing now? Because I'm not sure if I'm sharing.
The slide. We're seeing the slide of the vineyard, the same.
Okay. So let me. Okay. So now you should be seeing the satellite image. Can you see now the Google Earth image? Okay. So
the satellite image.
Okay, so this is the Sherry area. Jerez de la Frontera, the municipality where Lustau is based, is right here. It's just in the middle. Let me zoom a little bit. And the Lustau Viña Montejilillo is located right here. We're gonna get a closer view of it. So this is our Montejilillo vineyard. As you can see, is right in the interior, inland of the area. It is mostly influenced by the Levante wind that comes from the northeast part of the region, from the inside of the Peninsula Iberica. So the Levante is constantly hitting the vines here, and this provide us a pretty interesting advantage. We can avoid fungal diseases or diseases that are related to humidity. So we are able to grow here very, very healthy grapes with a pretty interesting concentration of sugar levels. We have here a less, or this vineyard is a less productive one, but we are very fortunate to get very interesting grapes with a very, very nice concentration of sugars. We also have a nice exposure to sun, thanks to this inclination. So the sun is mostly hitting the vines during half of a day. And the vines are facing the northeast direction in order to avoid the Levante wind. The Levante wind is influencing, but we manage ourselves to orientate the vines in order to protect them from a very strong, excessive influence from the Levante. Okay. Well, so this vineyard is mostly, or is actually only focused on Palomino Fino. We have 34 hectares of Palomino Fino there, And this Palomino, has been planted few years ago, 15, 20 years. It depends on the parcel. So now we are enjoying a perfect balance between production and concentration. Also, it is important to know that Palomino is a very resistant variety to droughts, and it also has a very compact leaf surface area, which make it the perfect variety for an inland vineyard in the area. So that's the reason we have Palomino planted exclusively planted there in our Montejirillo vineyard. And another important fact about this vineyard is that actually 99% of the surface of the vineyard is covered by albarizas. As you know, albariza is the iconic, authentic soil from the area, and is famous for being the perfect soil to grow grapes in the sherry DO. Why? Because it's mostly made of calcium carbonate and diatoms. It's mostly pure chalk, originated 3 million years ago. You have to know that the sherry DO, the sherry region, was a huge lake named Lagus Lagustinus in Latin. And during these 3 millions of years, the diatoms, the algae, the different sediments have been forming this iconic, interesting soil, which is perfect for the grape growing. We have a specific albariza called Tosca Cerrada. In the sherry area, you might find dozens of different albarizas, and we found in the Montejirillo vineyard, we have the Tosca Cerrada. Tosca Cerrada is known for being so compact, very compact. They look like stones, as you can see here in the second fragment of the slide, and it's very white. Actually, the name of albariza comes from alba, which means white in Latin. This soil, when it wets, it stands to the opposite. It gets a cement-like texture. It looks like it melts itself, and it becomes a little bit darker, like a gray-like color. You can see on the third fragment of the slide how different is how different the albariza looks when it gets dry. When it's dry, you can see on the top of this chunk, the albariza is so white, and the other segment, or the other part of the chunk, it's a little bit more grainy, darker, and less compact. Because when it gets wet, it melts itself, and it gets this texture. Very important, because this kind of albarizas gives us fine velvety wines with a very characteristic concentration, structure, and elegance. It is known that the albarizas Tosca Cerradas gives us a very elegant wines, elegant based wines, that at the end of the process we probably will find these elegant, velvety, gentle wines that Lustau has, for instance. The first section is a close-up of the Palomino, the Palomino Fino variety, totally ripped one. And on the fourth final section, I wanted to show you how gentle, how low, and how wide are the sherry DO horizons. And this is a picture we took like 1 year ago, and you can see perfectly here how interesting and how different are the vineyards in the Sherry area, especially in the Jerez Superior. Let me show you, because I wanted to show you the difference between the highest points of the vineyard and the lowest one. As you can see here, this is called, this is in Spanish is called cerro, which means hill, and here is where we have the purest Albariza, and on the bottom one, on the bottom area, we have some Albarizas mixed with something called bujeo. Bujeo is clays, okay, are clays. Clays are not the best soil for growing palomino. However, the bujeos we have in Montejirillo are just superficial. So below the very thin layer of bujeo we have, the thin layer, we have of bujeos, we have albariza, a very pure albariza. So at the end, the roots of our vines are constantly in direct contact with the albariza. So we have bujeos, but they are not affecting the grape growing production. And secondly, we have the Las Cruces. Las Cruces is a very unique vineyard, and I'll tell you why. We can define Las Cruces as a very, very versatile and different vineyard. Why? Because it is located in Chipiona, in the coast. Well, so this is the Las Viñas Las Cruces. As you can see, this vineyard is basically by the coast. It takes less than 10 minutes to reach the beach, the Chipiona beach. Chipiona is another important municipality in the Sherry Wine DO. It is not inside of the Sherry Triangle, but it's famous for being one of the classic locations in the Sherry DO. Less than 3 kilometers from our vineyard to the ocean. So here, what we're gonna find is a coastal vineyard, a vineyard influenced by the Poniente wind. Remember, the Poniente wind is the humid, cool, fresh wind, and it's located in the Pago Bulagar. This Pago is known or renowned for being covered by very pure arenas, sands. However, in our vineyard, we will find the 3 different main soils in the area: albarizas, bujeos or clays, and the arenas. This vineyard is a little bit lower than the Montejirillo, and we also have an average inclination of 2-3%. It is also interesting for us, not only for us, but also for the Sherry region, I would say, because we have planted there the 3 different varieties of the region. The Moscatel, which is the biggest portion. We have 25.37 hectares of Moscatel, very, very old Moscatel vines. Actually, Lustau, thanks to Caballero, because Caballero is the original owner of this vineyard, is famous in the region for being the biggest Moscatel producer and probably the best Moscatel producer because of our arenas. This unique soil, perfect for the Moscatel. We also have 6 hectares of Palomino, the same Palomino we have in Montejirillo, the inland vineyard. And we also, very interesting, we also have 6 hectares of Pedro Jimenez, which makes Lustau one of the biggest Pedro Jimenez producers in the area, probably the 3rd or the 4th. At least we are in the biggest 5 Pedro Jimenez producers in the area. For those who don't know that, Pedro Jimenez is not common to find. The grape, I mean, are not common to find in the area. And Lustau has 6 hectares, which is a pretty big amount compared to the average of Pedro Jimenez. And as I said, we also have albarizas, bujeo, clays, and arenas. We planted 40 years ago the moscatel in the arenas, which is the perfect soil for that. And the albariza is located on at the highest point of the vineyard. Let me locate it. Okay. So the biggest, it is pretty interesting. This image is pretty interesting because you will see the differences of the soils here. The whitest parts are mainly albarizas. This is the highest point of the vineyard. Here we have some albarizas. The darker areas are albarizas mixed with a little bit of bujeos, with clays, and the lowest parts is mainly arenas, sands. Okay, so this is a pretty, I would say this is a pretty unique, uncommon vineyard to in the area, because most of the vineyards are focused on just one variety, or you might find at least one of type of soil or two, but hardly ever you find 3 different types of the main soils in the area. And that's all. These are our 2 different vineyards. This is unripe close up of our Moscatel, and here I wanted also to highlight the Albariza we have in the area, which in this vineyard. As you can see, it's pretty. As you can see, the Albariza is a little bit darker than the purest Albariza we have in Montejilillo. I also wanted to highlight that the whole PX, the whole Pedro Jimenez production is sun-dried for our PX, and here you can see how different is the arena, is the sand soil compared to the Albariza or the white chalky Albariza we found in Montejilillo. Another interesting fact about this vineyard is that we use the whole Palomino production. Remember, 6 hectares of Palomino Fino is used or is planted in arenas, which is something very, very rare and very uncommon in the area. We are still making experiments. We are still doing some tests in order to find out how the Palomino is working, but the results we are receiving are pretty good, actually, and that's why we use this whole production of Palomino for one of our greatest and most interesting wine ranges at Lustau, that are the Añadas, the vintage series. These vintage series are wines that haven't been produced or haven't been aged through the Solera and Criadera system. This is something Yvette is gonna talk about. Well, Yvette, it's your turn.
I'm going to be speaking about 3 styles in particular, and these styles are very unique to the House of Lustau. We were very much innovative in these particular styles. The first style that we're going to be talking about is called the Enramas. And the Enramas is the freshest bottled wine that Lustau has, because it is bottled straight from the cask. Can you pass to the next slide?
Sorry.
Because I can't see it from here.
Can you see it?
I can see enough. You can see the enramas, like I just said, means straight from the cask. It has no additional treatment. It is unfiltered. And the beauty of the enramas to the House of Lustau and why we're so innovative is because, as Mario mentioned, Lustau is the only sherry house that has a bodega in each of the triangle, which is something that no other bodega can offer in the triangle. So we have it's called Tres Enramas, or our product is called Tres Enramas because we will have one bottle, which is from a manzanilla, a fino manzanilla, from San Lucas de Barrameda. We have a fino del Puerto, from el Puerto de Santa Maria, and you will have a fino from Jerez de la Frontera. Now, this is, for those who are familiar with the fino, is basically the same process. It's a Palomino fino. It's made out of Palomino grapes. Is biologically aged under the floor for approximately 5 years. The natural layer that will cover the wine will make this one of the driest wines probably in the world, contrasting with probably PX, which is one of the sweetest wines in the world. This yeast blocks all of the oxygen contact, resulting in a very bone dry and pale style of sherry. The process usually takes place in the spring when the layer of the living yeast is at its optimum level. The sherry is, again, naturally and fully maintained, resulting in the wine's personality, which is influenced particularly by where this wine is aged. So it's not where the grapes are growing, but where the actual wine is aged. If we're talking about manzanilla, as you saw in Mario's map, this is closest to the ocean, so you will have more of the salinity. It's closer to the Guadalquivir River from the Atlantic, which impregnates the yeast with the sea and the sea salt characters. I didn't want to get too technical with you, but if anybody would like to have more technical information on the wine, like the technical sheets, you can please contact me. But this, the manzanillas, I would like to give you a little bit of the notes, which would be an aroma of the sweet apples and doughy and the sea saltness that you get from the grapes and the aging of this wine in San Lucas de Barrameda. If we go then to the other fino, which would be el fino del Puerto de Santa Maria, which enjoys a much mild weather all year round. This is probably the crucial influence on this fino that is aged in this area, because it's the perfect environmental conditions. Now, what will make it different from manzanilla is the location and the yeast, because the yeast will be different than the yeast that starts developing in el Puerto de Santa Maria, even though they're both close to the ocean. If on the enrama of the El Puerto de Santa Maria, you probably get more of the intense and fragrant notes to it, with a full iodine and sea salt aromas. It's not as intense probably or briny as you would have on the manzanilla, which is from San Lucas de Barrameda. The fino from Jerez, on the other hand, has all of that dry air that comes from the Sahara Desert, just like our other fino, and provides a more rounder and fuller body style wine. This will probably have a more chocolatey and slightly smoky aroma to the nose, with fresh saline and bone dry to the palate. These come in a 500 ml bottle. They're bottled directly from the cask with no filtration. Where are we now, Mario? I think I've touched on the three. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, Yvette.
Okay. Can we move?
Yeah, sure.
Now we're gonna,
Yes.
I'm sorry?
No, can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry. It's just that I don't have any control of the actual slides from here. We're gonna I'm gonna touch now on two wines, and we're gonna start by the añadas. The añadas, Lustau started the añada vintage series, I believe it was in 1989, with a unique innovative concept. These are made from Palomino grapes that are considered to be more towards the sweet side, or the sweet oloroso side you would find when you have a bottle of oloroso. Until this time, the only vintages that existed in Jerez Triangle were dry wines, but never sweets. So the Lustau was the innovator and the first bodega to introduce the sweet style of añadas. This category is reserved for some of Lustau's exceptional wines. And when I say añadas, I want to go a little bit into why is an añada. It is no longer part of the Solera system. It is a static aging, and I will go a little bit into that. It is a Palomino grape, which is also the same grape that we use for an oloroso, also the same grapes that we use for a fino. But these añadas are picked from certain specific years, and they're static. They're no longer part of a Solera system. So during the harvest, and once the must is obtained, the fermentation is stopped as soon as possible by adding wine alcohol. So fermentation, if initiated, lasts a very short time. It's also late harvested, so it will maintain more of its sugar than if it was harvested at the beginning, just like the ones we do for the fino. It will transform the sugar for 1 to 2 degrees of alcohol, preserving the wines almost with its natural sweetness. Not all of the vintages have the same level of sweetness, since it depends on each of the grapes that have been harvested. Once the wine is clean, the alcohol is added up to 18 degrees. And I don't want to get too technical, but if you have any questions, you can ask me later. It's about 18 degrees, and static rearing begins in oak seasoned casks, previously seasoned with oloroso. Over time, and by the effect of the evaporation and the effect of the alcohol increases, hence it is not the same in all vintages. So even though it is the same grape and it stays, static in the barrel for a certain amount of time, you will find great differences between one year and the other. The glycerol will also be different in all vintages as well. It is important to mention that this grape is used as a Palomino fino, but it's a Palomino Jerez Superior. And what we usually select is not the grape, but the must. So usually, the master seller will go and select the must that will be used, which is fairly ripe, to achieve the acceptable sugar levels for these wines. The vintages are not released in any specific order or yearly order, when the master seller, who continuously will be testing to see which wine will be ready to be released. The añadas also, if you will see, has this, Mario, can you put the seals?
What? The seals, yeah.
These añadas, just like divorce, are regulated and under very strict regulatory guidelines by the Regulatory Council. It is important to note then not only all the casks of the vintages are sealed with this wax seal that you see in this photograph, and some of you that have been in Jerez and they have been in the cellar, in the wineries have seen it. Even though the council already allows the bodegas to leave the boots unsealed, it is Lustau's belief and practice that it is better to have the boots sealed by the council and unsealed, and this allows a greater quality control and exclusivity. All casks are regulated to maintain the utmost control, and they're regulated by El Consejo Regulador. Once the añada has been selected, a member of the council will go to the bodega, unseal, take a sample out of the cask, and what the master seller will then again taste the vintages. He will then select the one that in his opinion is of optimum time for release, and the regulatory council will then take a sample of this wine with them to their archives, and seal these barrels again. Why would they do that? Well, because when you come back with next year or whenever it is that the master seller decides that he wants to do this again, they will compare the wine that you took out of that barrel before to make sure that it is the same. It is the same Saka, or it is the same wine. The Saka date on the bottle, which is very important, will tell you when the wine was extracted from the solera. These are the dates that you'll see on the back. While the añada, which is in the front of the bottle, will tell you the year that the fruit was harvested. Which is, those are the two differences in an añada. I believe this year we're already in the 2002 añada. Correct, Mario?
Yep.
With 2002, I know in some in the market still have the 98, but that would be something that would need to be discussed, I guess, with the team, with the Eurobond team. But right now we're in the Saka, or we are already in the 2002 añada.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go into the Vours? Now the next wine that I want to present to you all is our Vours, and Vours, which means Vinium Autumnum Range Signatum. I am so sorry, I do not speak Latin, but translated into English is called very old sherry wines. These are Lustau's most limited and controlled wines. They're probably the oldest and special wines that Lustau has. Cask by cask, some of the profiles and personalities range back to the old soleras or the oldest soleras that Lustau has. Regarding worms, there are very few boots or very few casks of each style of wine. We have Amontillado, Palo Cortado, Oloroso, and PX. I believe we have about 7 casks of 36 arrobas of the Amontillado. We have 8 casks of 36 arrobas of the Palo Cortado, and we have about 9 casks of Oloroso and 6 casks of the PX. Only small wine batches and reductions are replenished with this very old wine barrels that we have scattered throughout the Lustau winery. And these in turn are replenished with the soleras of the Amontillado, Palo Cortado, or Oloroso from our solera, our main soleras in the winery. All boots in the sacristy, if any of you have ever been to the Lustau winery, there is a specific bodega part where we keep our East India, are kept in this bodega. And this is because of the temperature and the humidity conditions that are in this location. With all our wines, location is very important. And I think that Mario has mentioned it, I have mentioned it with the Tres Ramas and with the other styles of wine, where these bottles are, where these casks are actually aged. The wine is aged. The location where the casks are located is probably one of the most important parts of the production of these wines. The bottling of these wines are not periodic, they're seasonal, and not extracted again until the last bottle of the last extraction has been sold. Each extraction yields about 1,000 bottles, not one more than that. So for each liter of bottled, 30 must remain in the cask. The Divorce category is a category that must be requested from the council. It is extremely controlled. We must demonstrate that the wines to be labeled have the requirements that the council requires in age, character, and personality of council standards. So as mentioned, these wines must range an average of 30 years or more. In a Voss, which is the other category, it's a range between 25 and 30. This is in a Voss, it's 30 years or more. Before bottling the Voss, we must send a sample to the regulatory council so that in addition to justifying by traceability that this wine is at least 30 years of age, they must also pass a certain amount of lab testing, a blind testing. There's a tasting panel which also must try these this wine to see what the quality of the wine is, and if it is indeed can be bottled and can be exported. Once this is done, then and only then will the council review the label that will go in the back of the bottle stating that this is indeed a Voss that has been indeed a minimum of 30 years with all of the specific seals and authorizations from the regulatory council. Lustau is on the benchmark when it comes to the quality of our Voss. We have at the present time, like I said, we have the Amontillado, we have an Oloroso, we have a Palo Cortado, and we have a Pedro Jimenez. All ranging, like I said, 30 years, 20%, 21% alcohol.
Well, so now we're gonna, as the final block of this presentation, we're gonna talk a little bit about the Lustau's role, the role that Lustau has nowadays, currently in wine education. We're gonna focus this block on the CSWS, wine education program that most of you should know already, and we're gonna end with the sherry journey, the platform we designed 1 year ago in order to link the consumer with the sherry wines in general.
So we established the CSWS, in which we have made contracts with schools, with culinary schools and wine schools, but also we have tried to be in touch with all of the different distributors that Eurovon has, and we Lucas travels there and gives them an education on sherry, and starting with the core, with the 6 basic wines and the history of the wine, how the wine is being produced. This certification program or class lasts about 2 hours, more or less, and he goes from the history of sherry to where sherry can be paired, and the tastings, and we provide, Lustau provides the wines at no cost to the distributors. Or actually, these classes we don't, Lustau doesn't charge them at all. So we make no money, which is on these classes. We have certified with a Consejo Regulador. They get a certificate at the end of the course, which is signed by our CEO, which is Luis Luengo, and is signed by Cesar Saldaño from el Consejo Regulador. This is the only sherry certificate that exists that I know of right now out of the advanced in Spain that has a certification from the actual Consejo Regulador. We have certified right now we've been doing it for approximately 3 years. I think that we're going to be going on to our 4th year. And we have certified more than 3,000 people in the trade and in between bartenders, distributors, and other people in the trade. I believe here in the slide that Mario has placed, you can see the states where we have participated. This slide that you see here is an actual different slides of actual classes that we have done. And usually we have about 35 to 40 people in each class. We will continue to do this for all, like I said, our distributors and anybody that would like. I don't know who's listening, but anybody who would be interested in attending one of our CSWS courses, either can contact Matthew, or they can contact us directly, and we'll be more than happy to look into Lucas' calendar. Mario?
Yep.
You want to speak about the advanced?
No, it's all yours.
Oh, okay. All right. As we have certified the 3,000, as I said, the 3,000 and plus trade in as we've been in all the states. Now, a lot of the trade has, or a lot of these people that have taken these courses has come back to us. They send us emails. They have actually contact Mario or I or Nina, or when they see us, that they wanted something advanced, a little more advanced than the information that our Lucas was already giving in the CSWS. So having that said, again, we went back to the thinking table with Lucas, Nina, Mario, and the team, and other experts in the field on how we could come up with a more advanced program. We actually, what we did was, instead of being Lucas the only person, Lucas would then be part of the program and a moderator, and we would get 6 top experts in the nation and come and speak to a group of attendees. This year we were going to have one in April in Napa, and due to the COVID virus, unfortunately, we had to, I don't want to say cancel, but postpone, because we definitely want to do it again sometime later on. And we're gonna do 2, one which would be probably in the West Coast, and one that would probably be in the East Coast. On the West Coast, we of course have been thinking of Napa Valley, because this is where we're going to have it. We went and spoke to the Culinary Institute of America, and they were very excited to have us hold the advanced in their facilities, which if anyone has ever been there, it's an amazing facility, not only for food, but also for wine. And we're also going to have the same thing in New York. We're hoping that maybe if we don't do one in Napa anytime in the near future, it really depends on COVID. Maybe we can, in the fall, do something in the East Coast. But that, at this moment, we don't have a specific date. But if, please, if you would want to attend this advanced course, if you've already been to the CSWS, which is a prerequisite, you must have gone to the CSWS course that Luca has before you can register for the SWS Advanced. If in your area have not had the CSWS and you would like to attend the CSWS Advanced in the future, like I said, there's only going to be probably 1 or 2 per year. Please contact us, and we'll register you for the next CSWS course near your state or where you are residing. Any other slides you want to?
No, it's my turn. Thank you, Beth.
Yes, and if you have any questions at the end, please let's leave it towards the end because I don't want to hold you back.
Okay, so well, we're gonna finish with the sherry journey, which is a project we came up last year. We were focusing most of our efforts in the CSWS program, but we realized that the consumer didn't have a proper platform where to find a culinary ideas, inspiration, and actual interesting information, not technical information about sharing wine. So we decided to all the team together, including Lucas, we decided to design a blog, a culinary blog, where everybody could get into it and get inspired by different ideas and different recipes and different features we have been designing and uploading on the actual blog. It actually was created, to be honest, as a culinary blog, but nowadays it has different features that are pretty interesting. As I said, most of the content is focused on culinary inspiration for the consumer. Easy recipes to do at home, home comfort food recipes to be paired with sharing wines. And we also decided, because of the COVID situation, we had to stop our journey through the States, through the country. So we were, had to postpone and stop the CSWS class. So people wouldn't have the opportunity to get into the Sherry universe. So we decided to design the Sherry Explorer, which is an initiative, interactive digital initiative that takes the user to a whole Sherry journey, focusing on the vineyards, the culture behind the Sherry wine, also, and different few facts, interesting facts actually, about the wines, about the sherry in general, not Lustau only. Actually, Lustau is not featured on this project, because what we wanted was to share patient and interesting, easy consumer interface.
There's a question from Sergio.
Yeah, I'm reading.
Produced all over the rest of the world, and they're called Vin du Natural in France. They are called Apero in Australia or in Italy. What is the main difference that you can highlight from Jerez versus the others? What is the difference mainly between the sweet wines produced in sherry and other parts of the world?
Well, first of all, for sure you will know, you have been heard about Marsala, about port, about other different fortified wines like Rue de Glen from Muscat Rue de Glen. And well, first of all, sherry wine is always fortified after the fermentation, whereas port is fortified just at the beginning. And of course, the climate we enjoy in the Sherry DO is totally unique. So it cannot be compared to climate conditions in port or climate conditions in Marsala or Madeira Islands as well, or even the ice wine from Canada, or even Tokai from Hungary. So every single category has its own way of being produced or being aged, and of course, I'm familiar actually with sherry wine, but Of course, sherry is exclusively made and produced in the south of Spain. So the DO protects the wines from fake sherry wines that probably are made in in California or originally in Australia or South Africa or even the British islands in the United Kingdom. So yeah, we are protected, or the sherry wine is a protected DO because we are totally different. The results, the products we get in the area are nothing to compare with the other fortified ones. So it's the way we decided in 1935. That is the year where the sherry DO was created, as the way we use it for protect and differentiate our wines that probably some of them might be similar to others in the world, and that's all. Of course, there are differences. We have the climate conditions. We have the styles. Sherry wine is a so diverse category. We have very, very, very dry wines, probably one of the driest wines in the world. And we also have, on the other hand, a very, very, very sweet style known as Pedro Jimenez. That is probably the sweetest style of in the world. So, yeah, hope I have answered your question, Sergio.
Excellent. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat box. I want to thank Mario and Yvette very much for putting this together. This is an excellent opportunity to look at what's going on with the House of Lustau, and the Google Earth component was quite interesting. Thank you very much for that.